Welcome to episode 24 of Cynchranici-Tea. You are tapping in to the root of the symmetry and tuning in to the mind of Mercury to learn about how nothing is a coincidence and everything is intentional. How do you feel about that, though? We're learning about this, but how do you feel about that? That's our somatic property. So spiritually, nothing is a coincidence. Hermetically, everything is intentional. Somatically, how do you feel about that? And then we have life, communication. Let's talk about it. All structures are only built and possible because spirits are talking about how they feel about intentions. So when I say that life is intentional, it's not about you being in control of everything. That's in fact what today's episode is all about. How you, as a spirit, are not in control of everything, because that's the only way that you, as a spirit, can connect with others. So when we see that we intentionally choose to connect with spaces outside of ourselves, we can see how everything's intentional, because the only way we can connect with spaces outside of ourselves is to create something that we feel like represents us. A costume, an avatar, a body. All these lights, all these things only matter because of your mind, your desire to talk about how you feel about intentions. So, with today's podcast being episode 24, I feel like it'll be appropriate to address how my 24-day water fast really opened me up to the fact that we are all God. And not one God. We are all individual gods. And I, as an individual God, have chosen to sacrifice my individuality on the cross so that I can connect with you inside of the universe. So now I'm able to intelligently communicate from this perspective based on how I've used my 24 days of water fasting right before my senior year of college to connect with myself in a deeper and higher way, in a more psychedelic, circular, natural way. And from here, now I can see with dissected dialect how all of us as spirits have to sacrifice our individuality if we're actually going to create life together. So today's podcast is us getting into you sacrificing your individuality and getting into why we as spirits would have to kill our egos to enter the universe. Let's take a quick flight into the astral realm on this vibrational carpet ride. And once we touch back down, we will dive deep into you sacrificing your individual God on the cross so you can create the circumstances where it's even possible for you to hear my voice right now.
Crying, I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My mind's been flying wild, my soul's been crying. I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C. My soul's been crying wild, my mind's been flying so high. Through the astral plane, macabre brain, I built your game, we're not the same. My soul's been crying while my mind's been flying. To relay a word, those who listen heard, we make our vibe from deep inside. My my space, called away with haste, so I'll fall with grace to thrill my chase. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Water my earth, I know my worth, my soul gives birth to all my work. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying, so I can't connect with those you neglect. Time to correct how we reflect. My mind's been flying while my soul's been crying too. Who flood the sea with energy from my inner chi? I'm free to be me. I felt to inspire you to say how to fly higher too. Fly higher too. Fly higher too. Hang out with the family, your true spot. Don't be sad if you forgot that you've got a spirit squad and you're not true to this spot. Flip a script and break the facade. Take a trip and go abroad. When you're brave, they will apply. We get in touch with your true God. I've been fighting. I've been vibing when I'm dancing with demons, reversing curses and scheming. They be fiending for reasons to change our sins like the seasons. So I've been falling, cause y'all been calling my mind out of my spirit. I feel it best when I'm near it, but y'all cry for help and I hear it. So Hermes flies out to stare it in a new healthy direction. Will grow through natural connection. So I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C to level up like it's nothing, to turn into something, to bust into function, bumping and pumping with all the wisdom I'm gushing. And when I simmer my trees, breathe in my leaves, balance my chi, triple my C, I felt to inspire you. Simmer higher. I simmer in the skies, I triple in my chi, then I open up my eyes. Symmetry. I balance in my seasons. I mother the cohesion that keeps us intertwined. Symmetry. Balance in my seasons, and I don't need a reason to fulfill my desires. Symmetries.
So in our last episode, we talked about the power of knowing that you as a spirit are in the universe because you feel like connecting with communication. And our desire to connect with communication is what creates 5. That's what creates physical reality. And that's what creates family. So now, because you want to connect with your mind, you create physical reality, which allows you to manipulate light in a way that lets you connect and communicate with spaces outside of yourself. So this is what the whole universe is. Everything in the universe, if it's going to be connected on, it's going to be physical reality. It's just that the metaphysical reality is everything that's making the physical reality possible. And all of that is happening because of spiritual reality. And spiritual reality is the closest thing to space, becoming aware, before it's just nothing. So that's where infinite things are happening spiritually, because that's the lightest that spirits can possibly be. So when like so much light is happening, it doesn't really matter down here. Like it does, but not to us. The things that matter down here are more consistent and more intentional, more intentionally consistent. Okay, life is not accidental. This is why everything is intentional. You having a body, you being able to beat your heart every second, that's an intent. You learning a certain language, and you learning how to make art, and you learning how to dress yourself, and you learning how to connect with other people who speak the same language as you, that's an intent. Those are all your intentions. You have all these intentions that you're connecting upon. All right, life is intentional. Nothing's a coincidence. Nothing is you. You are the space creating the intention of being aware of your circumstances. Now, how do you feel about your circumstances? Do you feel alone in your circumstances? You probably do, because you are alone. But how do you feel about being alone in your circumstances? Because the fact is, you are. As a spirit, no one knows what you're going through but you. So let's talk about it. That's the point of this podcast. We're talking about your feelings, because your feelings matter. Genuinely. This whole podcast, everything that I do is symmetry, is about how your feelings matter. Everything that I do as Hootie Trismegistus, everything that I do as Hermes, as Enoch, as Ningishzida, as Zoroaster, as Quetzalcoatl, as Hermanubis, as Chigatet, as all of these messengers from Mercury. Everything that I do is about how your feelings matter. Because literally, I know that they do. I know that spirits create life from their feelings, from their elements. We just have to use numbers. We have to use logic to make sense of that. So it's really easy when you're lost in numbers to then think that your feelings don't matter. And now you think that only numbers matter. Now, you don't care about how your elements are actually way more powerful than numbers. Numbers are meant to limit your elements. Like, I'm here in one body communicating my spirit right now because that makes sense. Are there spirits who can take on multiple bodies and communicate themselves into one realm? Yes, they can. I don't resonate with that. That's why in the past, I've said that I don't think that's really possible. I, in my travels and experiences, have learned that it is. And like, I knew it was possible, but to me, it doesn't make sense. So I just communicate about it from the perspective of it doesn't make sense when you are an individual space for you to be communicating through multiple bodies in one simulation. The point is, every simulation is supposed to be you able to express yourself as an individual. That's literally the point of every simulation. Because as a space, you are an individual. One space is not a collective space. That's the point of one. So then it's of course about awareness. But if a spirit is really like in its awareness of wanting to communicate through multiple bodies at one time, maybe the bodies, like the space is so in its own feelings, it's using its ability to be aware to take on more bodies than even makes sense, then yeah, sure, I suppose. Like, that's definitely something. I mean, anything's possible. It's just all about knowing that spirits create life with alchemy, with elements and numbers, from the right brain to the left brain. So if you're able to experience reality, it's about learning from life around you. And that's what we're doing with Dissect the Dialect and this podcast and Just Forever. So we can see with W being 25 that water is physical reality, as in literally how the spirit wants to articulate itself through the alphabet for us to learn is that everything in physical reality is water based. It is water plus air. And then we're going to have earth suspended inside of this water air cycle. All of our fire is individual to our own spaces. So when I'm decoding the emerald tablets and getting super upset about how they're saying that fire is everything, consciousness is everything, this is why. Because it's an individual. It's a white supremacist group of individuals who want to colonize your space by making you think that you are their imagination. So that starts and really low-key ends, but it especially starts by making you think that you are fire, instead of you knowing that you create fire, and fire is your imagination. So the fact that you can imagine a new language means that you are not this language. You are not this body. Because you're in a language that is specifically designed to cannibalize your body, if you're speaking English mainly, then just know that the people who created English do not want you to be creative. Because if the people who created English were teaching you how you are creative, then you would very well go create your own language that actually allows you to express more of your spirit. So because the whole point of English spreading so violently throughout North, South, and Central America is to consume the time and attention and souls of indigenous peoples, now we're limited to communicating through the signs, symbols, and sigils that have been projected into our space. Hence why Symmetry is called away with his caduceus from Mercury to relay the messages of Dissect the Dialect and the Building Blocks of Life and Magic Math and Talent Talks with Tahuti and Bible Busters and Why America and Somatic Sociology and Symbology. All these shows, predictive programming, just more and more shows I'm going to be coming out with just constantly. Our online courses, of course, everything, just to share my fruits, share my gifts. It's the whole point of why I was called away, why I'm Chase Callaway. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything is a synchronicity because everything's intentional. So it's just about you really tapping in. This is why meditation is so awesome, because when you can really meditate and get connected to your spirit, you're always in heaven, because you're always alone and you're happy. You're in heaven with that because you feel like you, as the ego, as the awareness being created by your spirit, by your God, you feel like you are always supported by that. And that's what it means to be in heaven all the time. So why have you sacrificed your individuality? Because the fact is, your individuality is your imagination. How you imagine yourself is who you are when you are alone in your space. And that is your heaven. And the only way that you can be alive right now in a body where you're not in control of everything is because you have sacrificed your ability to be in control of everything, because you used to be everything until you stepped into the universe. So this is what it means to kill your ego. Your ego is your desire to be alone. So the fact is, if you want to step into the universe and connect with everyone, then you're going to have to not be alone. Because the fact is, life is not created from being alone. You're going to have to be all one. This is the difference between the ego and the soul. All right, so these are the different parts of you as a spirit, as a space. The two parts, the masculine and feminine parts of you that create your mind, are your ego and your soul. Right here, your fire and your water. This is what creates your mind so that you as a spirit can express who you are through a body. So your ego, your fire, is your desire to separate yourself, your desire to shine like a star, your desire to burn bright and be seen, which is not possible when you're alone. Your soul is your ability to connect with your ego and reflect your own light so that you can also reflect other people's lights and basically accumulate it into a vibration where you realize that you are alone in your imagination and you would like to reflect other people's imaginations and you would like to connect with other spirits. So your soul can simultaneously be connected to you as a space and then something outside of you, which is whatever you're then paying attention to. And that's overall the simulation or a situation that you then use your soul to create a body in. So this is why all bodies have souls if they actually matter and if they're actually communicating in an empathetic and intelligent way. Right? Like we literally subconsciously say that anyone who doesn't have a soul, they're not even communicating in a human way. So even though they're in a human body, the way that they operate isn't human. And then what is human to us but actually being in touch with water, being in touch with the universe. And the universal thing that everyone subconsciously understands and everyone subconsciously knows as children is to respect the consent of others. Respect each other's consent. Because we're all agreeing to be here in one cosmic community, in one cosmic sea. For you to want to project onto everyone that they don't have the consent to even be alive, for you to tell me that I did not choose to be born, shame on you, actually. And that's just the ultimate projection of these religions, where now people, like, they just have to constantly push their language into my space. And this is what creates wars, literally. This is how the indigenous peoples just got all their land stolen by Europeans, because Europeans just projected it into their space until they took over everything. And indigenous peoples just kept reflecting. And now here we are, still reflecting upon how Europeans project this technology into our space that doesn't even work. All it does is give us health problems and cause climate change, under the illusion of getting us connected, when really disconnecting us more from our spirits and getting us connected to the matrix. So unless we more consciously communicate, we're lost, and we're having the people who created English enslaving us forever, literally. Like, that's all it would be. If we don't more consciously communicate with the language that has enslaved us up to this point, then we will continue down this wave of being just constantly somatic to their hermetic properties, constantly reflecting their projections and bringing life thus to their intentions. Their intentions are genocide. Their intentions are to murder us. Their intentions are not to actually heal us or connect with us. Otherwise, they would leave us alone, because that's what air is. Air is balance. So our big point for this podcast is you sacrificing your complete God self so that you can be here in a body going through a human experience. We want to get really deep in reflecting on why. Why? Literally, just that W and then the letter Y. So WX, why are you sacrificing your individuality to connect and be lost in a vibe? Why are you sacrificing your individuality so that you can be trapped in a vibe? Because that's all it is. That's all everyone on planet Earth just has to reflect upon and ask themselves that question. Why am I sacrificing my individuality so that I can connect with the universe in this physical reality type way that I am right now? Like, instead of getting into a religion that then allows you to feel comfortable projecting someone else's rules and ideas onto the people in your life, and thus building a system that's supporting genocide while acting like you're not, and then dealing with all that karma on your soul, how about we just reflect upon the question, why are we sacrificing our idea of God so we can experience life as a human right now? Because that's all it comes down to. We're all humans. We're all humans communicating. But everyone's communicating their individual idea of God. And then that's what is unrelatable. And that's what makes people passionate. Literally, that's people's fire right there. When people are communicating their idea of God. Like, that's literally the whole point of the New World Order. In God, we trust. And when you know that you are sacrificing your ability to be a full God that's in control of everything, now you can be completely at peace. It makes complete sense that you are inside of a world where you're not in control of situations or circumstances outside of yourself. That wasn't the point of connecting to that world. That wasn't the point of connecting to a situation, circumstance, or simulation outside of yourself. The point is clearly, I'll tell you right now, I'm Hermes Trismegistus. I'm chilling on Mercury for eons. I see it all. The whole point is that you want to connect with a space outside of yourself. All these spirits just want to connect with spaces outside of themselves. That's all nature is. That's what water is. That's what Atlantis is. Shout out Anubis. Facilitating connections. Cosmically. Because the whole universe is underwater. Your body is only possible because water is connecting. And now all these substances that work off of water and can conduct their electricity off of water can now build cells that structure the way they communicate. Now you have a body that can do whatever your mind wants it to do, because that was the point of your mind making it. It just takes time, synthesis, and resources. Literally, I'm decolonizing my face right now, looking in the mirror, and it's wild. Like, just 5 minutes of pushing my teeth and my jawline is already wider and sharper. And the light is catching my cheekbones. Ooh, in a different way. Yeah, bro, I'm about to... It's fine. I can edit this out. I'm like low-key about to take breaks to push my teeth because I'm like in that vibe. So clearly, just the fact that I'm building this podcast and I may dissect the dialect and I am who I am, I sacrificed my individuality so I could be here to build awesome things with you. It's truly that simple. This simulation is in dire need of help. The spirits have ringed up my line and called me away so that I can use my caduceus, use my spine, use my snake, use my tree, use my wings to relay the message of how awesome you are and how you are alchemizing reality right now. Something from nothing. And we just have to get you consciously aware of how you're doing that so that you can actually build the life of your dreams through the genes that you are wearing. I've sacrificed my individuality so that I can stop climate change. Like, that's my ultimate dream. Like, I'm not in control of that. That is my inner turmoil every day. I wake up not knowing if I'm actually going to be able to stop climate change like I've created symmetry to do. And like, it's just my ultimate dream of being a human on this planet. Like, well, if there's anything that's worth putting my time and energy into, it would be using my ability to communicate to stop climate change. And it looks like this. Sacrificing your individuality is completely necessary when you want to connect with other individuals. Otherwise, the two of you as individuals would be way too individual to actually connect. If the two of you, if you as an individual wanted to connect with any other individual and both of you did not kill your egos, you would only be able to see yourselves in each other. And that literally is not healthy. Like, that's I mean, people do that anyway as I say it out loud. That's really funny. But that's really funny. That is what people inevitably do. But that's just because we're in such an egotistic, white supremacist ruled time where people's minds are consumed by racism and people have been taught to only connect with people as far as they can project their own individual idea of how they were taught to view life from the government. And then that's how the government has brainwashed the whole world and taken over everyone's minds so that life could get created like this up to this point. So this is what it means. This is why we all have to kill our egos to actually connect with other spirits. Because we have to use water to tame our fire so that we can now use air to communicate in a way that looks balanced for all of us. So now, all of us being in human bodies, this is balanced. Us playing fair, literally, F-A-I-R. 6 air. Like, this is what it looks like. We're all playing fair. We're agreeing to certain rules and conditions so we can connect and communicate in a way that makes sense for everybody. And then this is how we can build consistent systems, because the whole point is literally that spirits want to connect. So all the systems, all the things that we're building are about helping us facilitate connections. That's what I get called away to do. Build systems that facilitate connections, not sever them. We're in a white supremacist world that is completely focused on using its system to sever connections. It wants to use the internet to sever connections. It wants to use religion to sever connections. It wants to use technology in general to sever connections. Its obsession with the military and everything. Sever, sever, sever. They want to express their consciousness into the simulation. And it's resulting in genocide. It has been for a long time. So, again, like, when you really think in this way and feel deeply in this way and ask yourself the question, okay, I, as the infinite God, alone in my own space, why have I sacrificed my individuality in order to connect with other gods or other spirits, other infinite individual imaginations, I's? Why do I want to see eye to eye with other spirits? And this is where you're now going to learn about yourself as a spirit. You're now going to learn about who you are as a space, because you could not learn about yourself. You could not learn about yourself as a space without stepping out of your space using your mind, because that's the whole catch 22, it seems, I guess, for lack of better words. I mean, catch 22 I would relate with connecting with something outside of yourself, but really, when you feel like you can learn from just connecting with yourself, that, I guess, is a catch 22 in terms of you only you can truly know who you are as an individual. At the same time, there is a limit to how much you can actually learn about your unlimited nature, because you as an individual are only able to learn about yourself in the confines of your imagination. So when you as an individual spirit, this is where I get to learn about myself. This is what I love to do when I'm reflecting on Mercury, because I can only learn about myself as far as my individual imagination will take me. So this is where, if I actually want to learn more, if I want to learn about spaces outside of myself, then I have to kill my ego, kill my individual imagination, and get connected to my soul, because my soul is a vibration that will allow me to perceive other souls. So once I use my soul, once I kill my ego with my soul, once I douse my ego with fire to create my mind, now my mind can communicate with all the souls that my soul is in resonance with and can connect to. And then that's our cycle. That's our water cycle of air and water. The W, the World Wide Web of the astral realm. So now my mind can communicate how I'm feeling with ideas. And the ultimate idea is light. And the more we wait in an idea, the heavier it gets, literally. And now we can learn and connect with it more. So, I mean, that's your body. Again, like your body is an idea of your individuality, you as a spirit. So when you are here communicating yourself into reality, your body, your spine is your caduceus. That's why I made it, to represent the idea of you and the idea that you've created so that you can conduct more ideas. So my idea of life is how I like to kill my ego so that I can play as a human. I like to kill my God and play as a human so that I can use my soul to get connected to the universe in a way that allows me to reflect upon the egos, the lights, the projections of all the spirits outside of me. And now as I use my soul to reflect and look at all the egos, all the projections outside of me, now I can use my mind to communicate more consciously. And then from there, I can build something that works for all of us. That's literally actually the magic of my name. I'll get into that later, but that's the Tehu Ti Trismegistus. The Tehu is me as an individual in my infinite imagination. The T is the me killing my ego so that I can use my soul to reflect upon everyone else's imaginations that are being communicated into the universe, into the cosmic soul. So everyone that feels like getting connected is now communicating how they feel like getting connected. And I can learn about how I communicate based on how everyone is communicating their feelings of being connected. That 23 water stuff. And then that looks like lights. And that only ever results in spirits wanting to build families together and building structures and all that stuff in that way. So then that's where the Trismegistus is literally me using my air, using my mind to mentally travel and fly and communicate and do all of my Hermeticism, Mercury, Caduceus ability stuff. And then the Tus is me grounding it with earth. And now I'm building something that's working for us. Like how, again, the US is using us to just weaponize that word, that frequency, the idea of just us. What is justice? What is just us? It's about killing indigenous peoples so that we can create a world where there's just us. That is America's idea of just us. So it's all about literally the alchemy of nothingness to fire to water to air to earth. And how that's how we build all structures. So life cannot happen alone. All structures are created from a collective, from other spirits connecting on ideas. So this is why your body isn't just one big cell. Literally. Like your body is how many cells working together? You don't even know. Like actually, right now I'm thinking about how grateful I am that Anubis sacrificed his individuality so that he could come in here as a Jack Russell Terrier and keep me company for all those years. I'm so grateful. Like he was really just here mobbing it as a dog, stuck in that house all day, every day, as I'm stuck in an institutional building, stuck in school, sitting all day, every day, being forced to learn a bunch of garbage. But when I got to be with him, it was awesome. I love him a lot. So a twin flame is someone who you can only have a twin flame when you truly know who you are, because it takes you believing in your own imagination to meet a spirit who believes in their own imagination consistently enough that you both feel like you are twin flames for each other. So everything is about stability. I mean, literally, always bringing it back to the body is a perfect way to just make it make sense in all ways. Once I'm like, because I know sometimes perhaps I can get too far out or too spiritual or whatever, but it's always going to correlate perfectly to the body, because the body is being created from the astral realm of the spirits who want to connect with each other. If you don't have a stable mind, you're not going to have a stable body. And if you don't have a stable body, then you're not going to be able to build stable relationships with other bodies. And of course, you don't want to build a relationship with just a body. You want to build a relationship with the spirit that is operating, that is piloting that body. So we always have to know that literally we are spirits creating our minds, and then we have to use our genes, we have to use our body to wear ourselves, to air ourselves outside of our space and connect with other spirits. And then that looks like us relating with spirits through the body. And we can only relate with each other as far as our minds have been made up. So if your mind isn't even made up on who you are as an individual, then you can't expect people to relate with you as an individual. Like, that's the whole thing with confidence. And in general, gnosis. You know, that whole school of thought, where it's just about people coming together, knowing that you're an individual. And when you know that you're an individual, it's way easier to get things done with other individuals, because now you're all spiritually aligned. Because the fact is, individuals create life one way, and that's the way that Hermes Trismegistus communicates about it. Because the fact is, life is created from the top down, and then from there we can experience it and do infinite things with all of that. But life is only possible one way, and we see that is the natural default building blocks of life pattern that makes all the logical lostness of people's other spirits, ideas, whatever, possible. So now we can have TV shows about how time travel works, even though time travel works a specific way. That is all based in consent of the spirits creating that timeline. So to think that you could just go back in time and change something against the consent of everyone who agreed to make that time with you previously, nah. You're ignoring the fundamental rules of the universe. So that's a white supremacist idea of time travel. It's all about being lost in light, truly, because it's about you believing that physical reality is life, when literally we create physical reality because we feel like communicating. Again, 23. So we dive into water, we go underwater, we drink water, we kill our ego, we kill our fire with water, because we feel like communicating with spirits outside of ourselves. And in general, feeling like communicating is what leads to the 5 W's. The who, what, where, when, and why. So it's all about double you. Double you. You as an individual are aware. The W is about you creating something that supports your ability to feel like communicating. And that's what water is. Water is what you drink when you feel like communicating with your spirit. Water is what you drink when you feel like communicating with other spirits, with life in general. This is what water fasting is about, and just having a healthy body. Your body is water-based. All of life is water-based for this reason, because all spirits are using water to represent how they feel like communicating. And that naturally results in physical reality, physical reality. And then that naturally results in family. That naturally results in being connected with family that allows you to transform through physical reality. And now you are connecting more and more with spirits that you resonate with, because that was the point. When you feel like communicating, you felt like communicating with spirits outside of yourself. So the whole journey of all of your past lifetimes and everything that you've done up to this point is you feeling like communicating in a way that allows you to create this structure where you are supported with people who feel like communicating with you. And that means that you all resonate on a familial level. So now, lifetime after lifetime, you can build up a family, a soul group of spirits who feel like communicating with you on and on and on. And that looks like the cells in your body, the friends and foes and family in your life, and just everyone that is literally able to make you you. So all the cells in your body, all the people in your life, every spirit that you can observe in physical reality is sacrificing its true individuality because it feels like connecting. This is why I see everyone as an infinite individual, because I'm so connected to who I am that I can't look at life any other way. It's just a matter of me knowing that life is limited. So now I can learn about who you are as an infinite individual inside the finite body that you are creating to represent yourself. So from here, it's just a matter of figuring out your purpose in connecting. Right? You know my purpose. You can look me up. You can see what I'm all about. You know what's up. So, for you, what is your purpose of connecting with the universe? Because it's hard to be supported in your individuality when your individuality doesn't actually have a purpose. So these are the questions that I'm going to leave with you as I go make some more art, create, do the thing. What is your purpose? Because clearly you feel like connecting. Otherwise, you would not be beating your heart and waking up and talking to anyone outside of yourself in any way, shape, or form. The only reason you're communicating with spirits outside of yourself is because you feel like connecting. Hence, why you are underwater. Hence, why you have used your water, used your soul to sacrifice your individuality, sacrifice your ego, sacrifice your God. Now, all you can do is talk about your God in a way that makes sense to everyone who has consumed the same creations of another God. That's what it means to be in the double you. You have to eat the creations of another you, another God, in order to relate with gods outside of yourself. That's what food is, right? Clearly, anytime people are eating one God, one other person, someone outside of that group made the food. But now the group of spirits get to learn about each other and relate with each other based on how they like the food. So it's the same thing with language. You learn about everyone based on who learns the language that you learn. If they learn your language, now you can learn more about them based on how you communicate with that language. But it's always then just like more and more communication to get towards that individuality that can never actually be touched. Because the individuality is too fiery. It's too separate. So what is your purpose of connecting your individuality to the universe? Stay awesome. Gang, gang.